Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Mica Burton.
Sequels are tough to do.
Yeah.
Okay, they're tough to do well.
Yeah.
For every good sequel, like Godfather Part 2 and Spider-Man 2, there are a million Phantom Menaces, Speed 2s, Terminator 3s. So, can the Guardians of the Galaxy actually live up to its really popular predecessor?
We'll see. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 doesn't hit theaters until May 5th, which is very soon.
Yeah, but it seems like I keep being surprised that we're as far into the year as we are.
Right?
Every time I see a date, I'm like, what the hell?
It's so close, and we're already starting to get reviews of the sequel to the 2014 hit that made a bunch of B-list Marvel characters into a blockbuster franchise.
The sequel sees the return of the cast and director James Gunn, along with some new faces as the Guardians travel the universe to help Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord. You know, Star-Lord. Learn more about who his parents are.
So what do critics think of this movie? Well, judging from the reviews so far, the consensus seems to be that, while it's not as good as the original, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is still a lot of fun. It's currently got an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 76 score on Metacritic.
Variety called the movie witty and extravagant. The reviewer wrote, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is an adventure worth taking, and the number of moviegoers around the planet who will want to take it should prove awe-inspiring. But it doesn't so much deepen the first Guardians as offer a more strenuous dose of fun to achieve a lesser high.
Alright. Reviewers noted that the new Guardians movie contains a lot of the trademarks of the first one. Big budget special effects, lots of funny banter between the cast members, and a ton of 70s tracks that we all loved in the original.
But despite all that, The Hollywood Reporter said that the sequel fails to recapture the magic of the 2014 original. This is a pretty common issue with sequels. We've seen similar letdowns, if you really want to call them that, with sequels to the Avengers, Iron Man, other superhero movies, where the first one really was something crazy and new, and the next one is good, but it's not new anymore.
Todd McCarthy wrote in the Hollywood Reporter's review of Guardians Volume 2 that most of these maverick mercenaries prove rather less charming the second time around. They're like bickering family now, and not in an amusing way. For starters, some of the characters who, at first exposure, were ingratiating in part because of their rough edges have now turned downright ornery and are not much fun to be around.
As we've seen in the trailer for the new movie, Kurt Russell makes an appearance in the new movie as Star-Lord's dad, and his performance got a great reception from critics.
USA Today called Russell a great addition to this awesome little world with an enormously powerful movie personality that draws from the actor's own Hollywood legend.
USA Today ultimately gave the movie 3.5 out of 4 stars, saying it's missing some of the ragtag underdog charm of 2014's insta-classic Guardians that made it one of the best Marvel efforts ever, yet Volume 2 becomes in its own way a more confident and well-rounded movie by experimenting with character relationships, familial rivalry, and its own successful template.
The Wrap said that at the end of the day, whether you like this movie will depend on whether or not you dug the first one.
Well, that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah.
Who wants to go see Guardians 2 without having seen Guardians 1?
Or without liking Guardians 1. Like, I hated the first one.
But maybe the second one, even though the trailers all look the same. The Wrap wrote, if you're not already on the Guardians train, of course this follow-up isn't going to win you over, nor will it appeal to those who demand the sequels attempt to offer the same jolts of unexpected pleasure that the first chapters do. Volume 2 is filler, to be sure, but if you like the flavor of these movies, you'll enjoy this second bite.
Not everyone liked the new movie, however. The New York Post straight up panned the movie, giving it 1 star out of 4 and calling it space junk.
Ouch! Okay,
Man.
so not everyone's a fan. The Post wrote that the movie brings to mind some of the most unforgettable sci-fi event movies of the last 30 years. Alas, those films are Howard the Duck and Green Lantern.
Oh my God!
Shit, just got compared to Green Lantern. Pack up, we're done.
That hurt me deeply. But ultimately, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 might be victim of the expectations set by its predecessor. More than one reviewer mentioned how great the first movie was, and while they liked the sequel, it didn't quite measure up to the first one.
Yeah, Entertainment Weekly gave the movie a B- and asked, is it possible to be disappointed by a film and still manage to have a good time watching it? Absolutely, and Guardians Volume 2 is Exhibit A of that. It's smarter than most films, but not as smart as the first one. It's funnier than most films, but not as funny as the first one, and it still probably belongs in the upper tier of Marvel movies, but nowhere near as high up as the first one.
So, there you go. That's our wrap up of the reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. On the whole, they seem pretty positive, but maybe don't go in expecting the first movie.
Or expect exactly the first movie again.
Right. Of course, we already know that we'll be getting a third one and that James Gunn will be writing and directing it, so it's interesting to see how this whole saga will shake out.
What do you guys think of the reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Are you planning on checking it out? Do the reviews make you a little bit more wary that there were a couple of real pans in there? Let us know in the comments.
And for all of your Marvel Cinematic Universe movie news, whether it's Guardians, the Avengers, or anyone else in between.
Let's face it, there are a lot of movies, so there's a lot to cover.
So many. So be sure you like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to The Know so you can hear all about it.
The New York Post like king puppies or something?
Dude, one, like, dude, a one. I mean,
for starters, some of the characters who, at first exposure, were integrated.
Yeah, what do you guys think of the reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? What do you guys think of the reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? I can't, why this one?